It's like deploying on Friday, you know?
Yeah, we deployed on 31st of December. That was the biggest mistake.
I thought it was a joke, but it was for real,
no,
actually.
It was for real. It was really for real.
Hello and welcome guys, my name is Steve and welcome to my channel. Welcome to another episode of Q&A over coffee, where we drink some coffee and talk about a specific topic. And in this episode I have a new friend, I have a new invitee. His name is Adrian, and he's a friend of mine and also a colleague, which we have worked together for a company. So in this episode we're going to talk about something very interesting, and the topic is 3 biggest excuses software engineers make, myself included. So before we start this episode, I want Adrian to introduce himself, to tell us a little bit about himself. What is he doing, what is he up to, and why is he here, and whether or not you guys deserve to listen to him in today's episode.
Well, yeah, that's a huge honor for me, as always, to meet Steve, to discuss with Steve. Hi, I'm Andrian. I'm a lead developer in a big company, in a well-known company. If you know me, then you know the company. We could go and start from, I think the first one could be we don't have time to make tests, to write tests. And from this one, I think the second one could be that you got the wrong data set. Yeah, this is the biggest excuse that we could encounter. And the third one, I think the most beloved one, would be like, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Okay, so that was shortly about mistakes. However, we should dive into each and every one of them and talk about them. So before we begin the topic, I keep saying before we begin the topic, but before we begin the topic, I want to say that Adrian here is also a team lead. He's not just a developer. So I invited him thinking he could share some of those mistakes, because he works with people as well, not only software.
One of the biggest excuses is not writing tests at all. We need to cover our code base with tests. This is pretty cumbersome to do. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes maintenance to maintain them.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yes, and
the struggle is real.
Oh yeah, and it also takes a lot of knowledge power and money to cover the code base with tests.
To quickly give you like a bigger picture of what Andrian is saying, because I've been working on the same project. So to give you a small background, we're talking about a big project, a monolithic project, you could say, which has some of its parts separated into services, you could say, but there's a problem when it comes to companies which don't allocate time to high quality software. And by that I mean writing unit and integration tests. And I keep saying that in my videos, you must write unit and integration tests, because that's part of your health, your software's health. But on the other hand, it's also like a struggle. Like, it depends if the company allocates the resources. Like, you may have a very restricted timeline, and you might like write the feature, deliver the functionality, and then you don't have enough time. It turns out you're writing those tests from your personal time or something.
Yeah, I understand. But this is the moment when you have to discuss with your stakeholders, with the product owner. When we cover a hotfix for a feature, it also breaks something. So when you do a hotfix, then you have to do a hotfix for the hotfix. And this is
when you do a hotfix, it means you didn't write the test in the first place.
Yeah. So this is a real pain, and it usually pays off when you have to stay at work. In my experience,
when you're in vacation, relaxing somewhere on a beach.
Oh my God!
And here comes the notification.
This is crazy. You know the story that we on the 31st of December started to just because
it's like deploying on Friday, you know.
Yeah, we deployed on 31st of December. That was the biggest mistake.
I thought it was a joke, but it was for real.
No,
actually.
It was for real. It was really for real. So it's not too late to write tests anytime. So if you would ask when is the time to write tests, whether it would be like the start of the project or it's too big to start, no, it's never too late. Just start writing them, even if you don't have experience.
Yeah, start with unit tests because they are the easiest to write.
Yep.
if you try, I mean, integration tests are also easy to test, considering you're spinning up the application standalone and you just throwing requests, or depending on what type of application you have. But also unit tests, specifically if we're talking about testing individual stuff, they're easy to test. If we're talking about integrated parts of software, they might require mocking, perhaps refactoring and other stuff. So speaking of excuse number one, I gotta say that I was part of the same category, because I was like, nobody's writing tests. So I'm not gonna write tests either, because I don't wanna be the white crow, you know? And even if you're the white crow, you may actually bring a positive impact, and you may change the atmosphere. You may change the way people think, people do things around. Yeah, just start writing them. Yeah.
So on the second part, I guess we could say that you got the wrong data set. This is the biggest excuse. What I mean by that is usually when you get a phone call or a message from the stakeholders, hey, this is not working. Well, what is going on?
Especially if they don't have any technical background.
Oh yeah. So usually, even if you have some tests, some like feature tests, and you say that your feature test is working well, and you say that you got the wrong data set. On our end, it works well.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest excuse. It means that you don't have the right data set. I mean, like the programmer, because you let the end user do some stuff. Maybe it's a malicious something. Maybe it's your mistake. You have to deal with it. So make sure you got it covered. Make sure that your data set next time that your client provides is being covered by whatever application you're doing.
And speaking of the data set, if we go back to the first excuse, like if you cover your software with a lot of tests, you will not even need to have your client report something, because it will just stop at the testing level.
Yeah. So usually this is a cause and effect. We can get to the next one, which is, it's not a bug, it's a feature. So the last one. This is the beloved one, the most named one, when you got that bug dressed beautifully.
Depends how you look at it.
Yeah, it all depends how you look at it. It all depends how you look at it, how you sell this.
You can dress it up and consider it a feature.
Yes, you can sell this as a feature. So once you got covered these 2 points, you could write documentation.
Oh, docs are actually hand in hand with tests, I would say.
Yeah. So you should actually need to write tests. You should write documentation, and every documentation that you would do, you would expressly maintain this.
I mean, I don't know about other companies. It again depends on the company's culture, but the best practice which works for my company at the moment, for example, is your pull request, because everybody does pull requests. Your pull request shouldn't even make it into everyone's attention, so that everyone can view it, unless it doesn't have covered the software test, unless it doesn't have updated docs and stuff like that. That's the bare minimum. If you don't have that checked out, we're not talking about professional software.
You could easily go check it in your IDE, and whenever you look for something like you forgot some conventions, or you forgot some, why did this stuff happen here, and why did we put this here, and why did we choose to go on 2 threads and not 3, for instance, or why are we using Redis instead of RabbitMQ or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes as simple as adding like 10 lines of documentation in your README may help a lot of developers, including yourself, because we have a very short memory. We forget things we ourselves write.
And it's normal. We don't have to keep it in our head. We have to delegate this.
Yeah, our head is for solving problems, not for remembering stuff.
So as I said, that this is a cause and effect, that this is unit tests, not writing unit tests. Then you are going into step number 2, which is your data set is wrong, and then after that you go to step number 3. This is another effect for the cause that you're not writing unit test. This is the excuses that it's a bug, it's not a feature. So going through these links, you would cover them up in step number 1, and you would not make these excuses anymore. So just stop writing tests.
So as I was saying, always make sure to test your software. It doesn't matter what language you're writing code in, whether it's dynamic, whether it's statically typed. Always make sure to have unit tests, integration tests, and different other kinds of tests which you may think about, and then after that consider, or I would not say consider, but make sure to have correct data sets. And the datasets come hand in hand with writing a lot of unit tests. So basically, when you have a lot of test cases, you could say you have a lot of datasets provided to those tests. Sure. And your application or your pipeline, I would say, will not even make it to the point where the client has to report a bug or something. And in the end, if it's your mistake, assume it. Don't say it's a feature when it's a bug in actual reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a bug, it's a bug. Don't dress it up like you're some fashion stylist or something.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. So I think this ends up our 3 biggest excuses. And write tests.
Always. Alright guys, so that was pretty much it on this Q&A over coffee episode. This was pretty quick, I would say. It's not as usual, we usually do it longer, but it doesn't really matter. This was 3 biggest excuses that software engineers make, myself included, so make sure you don't make them. Make sure to also let us know in the comments below what are your excuses. I would really love to know that. And also make sure to follow Adrian. I will link everything in the video description below. Make sure to follow him. He is a software lead, he's also a developer, and he's a kind man, and yeah, make sure to follow him. It was a pleasure to have him in this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next month where we talk about a different topic with somebody else.
Okay, thank you for having me. Bye.
Peace.